Turns out a lot of seemingly beautiful places have an underlying darker side. In this video, why this popular hole is feared, the hottest place in Africa, and the most dangerous garden in the world. Wansheng Ordovician Theme Park, China. Found 60 miles away from Chongqing City, the Wansheng Theme Park is one of the most popular attractions in China. Known for its extreme altitude, the main attraction is a glass footbridge about 390 feet above the ground on a cliff edge. At over 260 feet long, the bridge is so far the longest of its kind and a thrill seeker's dream, but walking on it is probably the safest activity in the entire park. For a more intense adrenaline rush, visitors are welcome to try out the swing, which is suspended about 1,000 feet above the ground. While it's very unlikely that you're going to fall off, the thought of it and the massive drop below can stir up some not-so-nice experiences. This also goes double if you're afraid of extreme heights. The park's ultimate scare, though, is the Gap Bridge, about 500 feet high. You're pretty safe walking across the spaced-out planks, but God forbid the hardest comes when you least expect it. Valley of Death, Russia. Tucked away in the remote Kamchatka Peninsula, the Valley of Death has been an intriguing sight since 1975 when it was first discovered. And it's exactly what it sounds like. Stepping into it for any amount of time will certainly be the end of you. This has been well observed for years with the birds and other animals that venture into the valley in search of food and water, particularly in spring when the snow melts. This also goes for the foxes, bears, and other predators that tried to feed on the resulting carrion. These deaths, as it was later discovered, were caused by a mix of toxic gases like hydrogen sulfide carbon dioxide produced by volcanic activity in the area. Since the valley is shielded from wind currents, the gases can't be blown away and eventually accumulate to levels toxic enough to kill animals. Death Valley, the US. A lot of death in this video already. Yeah, there is a US Death Valley, and it's kinda like its Russian counterpart, as you're likely to die in it. The difference here, though, will be the cause of death. The valley is considered to be one of the hottest places on Earth and boasts the highest temperature ever recorded at 134 degrees. With such a reputation, you can guess what kind of fate to expect for wandering in the valley. For tourists, heat stroke and severe dehydration are very real and ever-present risks, so following the laid-down rules is absolutely essential. To minimize the likelihood of heat exhaustion, visitors are advised to drink at least a gallon of water in a day, stay on paved roads, and avoid going out in the midday sun. Despite the rules, at least 2 people per year die hiking in the valley, which probably is the biggest reason for its unsettling name. Running of the Bulls, Spain. If you fancy getting gored and trampled by raging bulls, then the Running of the Bulls event is something that you might want to look into. Heck, the event itself is part of a larger festival, the Festival of San Fermines, in honor of Saint Fermin, which I'm pretty sure I mispronounced all of that. Held in the city of Pamplona, the practice is all about getting chased, basically by 6 or more bulls down the street. To be on the safe side, you just gotta make sure none of the raging beasts catch up with you. As you'd imagine, the odds are not in your favor. Every year, at least 50 people are injured, some so seriously that they have to spend a couple of days at Pamplona's hospital. Interestingly enough, though, deaths are quite rare. Since the tally began in 1910, only 16 people have died, with the most recent one occurring in 2021. The Blue Hole, Egypt. Lying a few miles off the Egyptian coast of the Red Sea, the Blue Hole can be quite deceiving. While the depth of the hole itself is just over 300 feet, it contains a fair share of diversions, with the deepest sinking to well over 3,300 feet below the surface. Thanks to a lack of current, the hole is an extremely popular diving spot, attracting a sizable chunk of enthusiasts from all around the world. On the other hand, though, it's also considered to be one of the most dangerous marine diving sites. According to estimates, the Blue Hole has claimed between 130 and 200 people in recent years, although actual numbers are hard to come by since there are no official records. It's also not that clear how the divers end up dead, but it's been suggested that it might have something to do with unknowingly swimming deeper than its ideal. Alnwick Garden, England. The Alnwick collection of gardens in Northumberland has been around since the 18th century when the first garden was established. The collection remained tame for the longest time, with usual beautiful plants and impressive landscaping. But in 2005, a new group of plants was introduced, making the place both dangerous and popular. Fenced off in what's referred to as the Poison Garden, the group features some particularly lethal species of plants, and merely touching them could set off some extremely uncomfortable reactions. Hogweed, for instance, produces a phototoxic sap that reacts with skin when touched. Blisters and third-degree burns are pretty much the order of the day, and the sap can apparently remain in your system for up to 7 years. This is why you don't touch or move too close to any plants in the garden whatsoever. Villarrica, Chile. The Villarrica mountain is one of the 1,300 active volcanoes around the world, which makes it an interesting site for adventurers. Rising some 9,000 feet above the surrounding landscape, hikers troop here in their hundreds not to just climb it, but also to peer down into the boiling lava lake inside the crater. As you'd imagine, the hike comes with a more than healthy dose of danger, since the volcano could go berserk at a moment's notice. Even if the eruption isn't big or violent, the odds aren't exactly in favor of those too close, and that goes for the neighboring town's residents as well. That being said, the eruptions aren't an everyday occurrence, with the last one being in 2015, during which over 3,000 residents in the area had to be evacuated. Cliffs of Moher, Ireland. Overlooking the Atlantic Ocean, Ireland's Cliff of Moher are among the most popular tourist attraction sites in the country, pulling some 1.5 million visitors a year, and it's not hard to see why. Rising some 650 feet above the surrounding landscapes, they offer unrivaled, spectacular views of the other physical features, like the Monturks mountain ranges, Loophead, Aran Islands, and the 12 Pins mountain ranges. But with the Atlantic slowly eating away at the pillars below, enjoying these views comes with a fair share of danger. Straying too close to the edges, for instance, might send you hurtling into the ocean with nothing much to save you. Apparently, it's not too uncommon for a seemingly safe patch of land to break off when you least expect it. This is why tourists are encouraged to stick to the designated path, a measure that has significantly reduced the number of reported incidents. New Smyrna Beach, the US. Want to know what a shark bite feels like? If yes, New Smyrna Beach in Florida should be on your bucket list. Apparently, anybody who swims here is most probably within 10 feet of a shark. Christian, the shark capital of the world, the waters are some of the most shark-infested on the planet, which means a little higher than normal shark bites can occur. According to the International Shark Attack File, New Smyrna Beach has seen at least 250 shark attacks throughout history, the highest ever recorded in any place. While the shark bites aren't usually fatal, dealing with the immediate pain that comes with them is certainly not a good feeling. The attacks have been blamed on fairly young bull sharks who can't tell the difference between people and marine life. Also, New Smyrna is a very popular hangout spot for the young people, which further increases the likelihood of the sharks bumping into those people. Mount Everest, Nepal. At a height of over 29,000 feet, Mount Everest's peak is the highest point on Earth, a status that comes with a fair share of celebrity status. It's especially popular among mountain climbing enthusiasts. Conquering the tallest mountain in the world is definitely something to be proud of. Considering everything that comes with the climb, though, that pride is certainly deserved. For starters, the temperatures are quite frigid, with the warmest readings averaging just at -2 degrees. Of course, this also means that climbers have to deal with lots of ice. And given just how common earthquakes in the area are, avalanches aren't usually far apart and will sometimes even bury climbers alive. Additionally, there's the obvious issues of altitude sickness, extremely low oxygen, and atmospheric pressure and frostbite. All the 300 fatalities that have been recorded on the mountain have been directly or indirectly caused by any of these hazards. Boiling Lake, Dominica. Adjacent to the Wat Mountain and Montrose National Park, Dominica's Boiling Lake is one of the few naturally hot water bodies, with the edges averaging anywhere from 180 to 197 degrees. Honestly, the center could be hotter than this, but so far no one's been daring, or should we say stupid enough to try and take the readings. Scouting is definitely on the table here, so as a visitor, it's certainly for your own good if you just enjoy the lake without taking a plunge. And even with that, you have to be really careful in the area around the lake. On top of that, hot steam mixed with the acrid smell of sulfur and other volcanic gases can be a bit overwhelming, sometimes even fatal. Devil's Pool, Zambia. Victoria Falls, or the Smoke That Thunders as the local Lozi people love to call it, is one of southern Africa's biggest spectacles. Stretching some 5,600 feet across, it's among the largest waterfalls in the world and attracts close to 1 million visitors a year. Part of the fall's attraction is the Devil's Pool that's found right on the cliff's edge. You can even look over the frothing water below as you take a dip in this one-of-a-kind pool. That is if you're careful enough. But that's only during the dry season when the pool is relatively shallow, usually from mid-August to mid-January. And try any other time and you'll be hauled right over the 330-foot wall of rock that holds together the pool. Surprisingly though, there's never been any casualties, probably thanks to people adhering to the seasonal restrictions. Mont Blanc. Lying on the French border with Italy, Mont Blanc is the highest mountain in Europe, standing at just under 16,000 feet. Given its position and its significance, the peak's ownership has always been disputed, with each of the two countries claiming it as part of their territory. But that's beside the point. Being one of the highest mountains in the world, Mont Blanc attracts a fair share of climbers and hikers looking to conquer it. About 30,000 per year according to some estimates. Quite a few of these people don't make it back in one piece, and even fewer don't make it back at all. Exact numbers of fatalities are hard to come by, but roughly 10 to 20 climbers meet their death on Mont Blanc, which has been the trend since the 1990s. As with any other mountain, the terrain isn't very forgiving, which, combined with the lack of preparedness of some of the climbers, creates a perfect scenario for this disaster. Danakil Desert. Stretching across the borders of Eritrea, Ethiopia, and Djibouti, the Danakil Desert is the direct opposite of Mont Blanc. While the European mountain is one of the highest places and is cold, this African desert is one of the lowest and hottest places on Earth, with average temperatures reaching as high as 122 degrees. The desert is known for its picturesque salt landscape with blends of green, yellow, green, blue, red, and orange. But wandering around aimlessly is the last thing you may want to do as a visitor. The lakes here are basically just salt slabs, but you gotta be extra careful where you step as the salt can easily give way, plunging you into hot and extremely acidic water. Besides that though, the whole area is a fair share of volcanic vents spewing out fumes of poisonous volcanic gases, so not a good time either way. Before we move on, I've got a little challenge for you that'll take 5 seconds to complete. So here's the deal. You just leave a like on this video, smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell, and you will get 20... Canadian Rocks, Canada. The incredible views of the Canadian Rockies serves are more than enough reason to grab your hiking gear and head there. The journey of the mountains, though, is anything but incredible. For starters, some of the trails aren't exactly for the faint-hearted, as they're some of the most difficult in the entire friggin' world. However, I think the trail is a bit less to consider when you also realize there's a whole cadre of dangerous animals that won't hesitate to take you on if they feel like it. Grizzlies, black bears, mountain lions, elk, and moose. And yes, moose and elk can get quite cranky too, especially during their mating season. Heck, if you're lucky enough to not cross paths with any of these animals, avalanches and rockfalls are the next big threats to watch out for in winter and summer respectively. Good luck, kiddos. See you all next time!